Hello, welcome to the channel. It's me, Beaky. How are you guys doing tonight? This next story is more of a historical war type deal. It occurs during the time of the Great War. It's called Great Hunger. Let's begin. According to the myths of the time during the Great War, both German and British experienced many number of phenomena that were officially suppressed by both governments. Rumors abound the secret of weapons and covert experiments. But one story was too strange even for the embittered soldiers to attribute to the consequence less time more. It is a fact that shortly after the Battle of Flanders, surgeons and nurses began noticing errors in admitted logs. It is that shortly after the Battle of Flanders, surgeons and nurses began to notice errors in attendance logs. The book showed soldiers placed in cots that obviously hadn't been seen and used for days. It was as if the wounded were simply getting back up and walking out after getting admitted. Within the week, hospitals all over France began to report actual disappearances. During the night, under the noses of the staff, soldiers and all their personal effects were simply removed by some unknown or unseen agent. Dissertation of the suspects, of course, but the gravity of some injuries made such an escape of laughable impossibility. Doctors swore aids to secrecy to stem the rising panic, but the night staff itself continued to swallow up the invalid sons of England at an ever-increasing pace. The patients were not obviously missing the soldiers of the fear of being sick, but gradually outstripped the fear of the Germans. A whispered fear of a careless nurse was all it took for it to lead to a riot in one case. Yet after the commotion had been quelled, several instances of suicide. The patients began to describe dreams and nightmares of glossy eyes, staring into the crypt, and the doctor's shadows that caressed the dying, and hundreds of long, thin, grasping fingers. Delusions and hysteria could no longer be suppressed, and hospitals were forced to send back the sick and injured back to England under any number of pretenses. The disappearances ended almost immediately, and senior officers sealed all reports citing hallucinogenic effects of the German gas attacks. Still, this was perhaps the least explainable that was at the top of the secret German records, recovered after the war's conclusion, describing almost identical nuisance. But when the French hospitals closed, German losses nearly doubled overnight. Indeed, the malefactor followed the German retreat all the way back to the capital, where the hospitals had become as good as death sentences. As the entity powers closed its distance to Berlin, fevered rants of doctors and nurses grew to match their patients. Horrible visions of huge black eyes, thin needle-like teeth, and filled memos that went unread and collapsed by the government. Just before Berlin's fall, however, the reports of frantic pleas for military insurrection ceased. Doctors and staff went back to their duties. Tales of such ghoulish stalkers dismissed as infectious delusions. In war stress, the war ended with no formal investigation was ever really mounted by either side. There have never been any true explanations for this phenomena, and all that were left were grim stories of hospitalized madness. Still, it's strange to think an entire young generation of German doctors sworn to do no harm, the same as the doctors who suddenly renounced the stalking horror, should be so complacent in the bloodthirsty schemes of the Nazi Party decades later. Even stranger was their zeal in the butchery, more closely resembled the hunger than hatred. If you enjoyed the story, please leave a like and a subscribe. And thank you for attending this night in the cabin. Have a safe night, guys. See you around.